Welcome, welcome, welcome to my Black Job Podcast. Here we are, a few episodes in at this point, and it just never ceases to amaze me how dope Black jobs really are. The more I just seek out professionals that have the title of a black job in quotations, the more I seek out the professionals that have those, that operate and walk in that space, I am just like in awe of the journey, the story, the path, because a lot of people, they don't even know that career options exist for them because they can't relate and they can't connect to people who look like them or identify with them in any way, shape, or form. And so we got representation amongst us. So I want to just welcome Siedah. Siedah Spencer, artist. And I'm going to just read this really, really quick just so that I can give you your just due, but I'm not going to, I'm going to let you, I want to hear it from you too. So, Siedah is a licensed marriage and family therapist. She's also the owner of Focus Therapy Clinic in Southfield, Michigan, where she provides therapy to children, individuals, couples, and families. With a background in foster care, community mental health, and more, she specializes in high conflict couples, reunification cases, and helping women through life's transitions. Welcome, Siedah.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad that you are here. The biggest, like I said, the biggest reason behind the My Black Job podcast was to understand what it looked like, not only operating in, but how the journey actually getting to the black job. Tell me about your journey, how it started.
So when I first went to college, I was not going to college to be a therapist. I wanted to be a therapist, but it's Detroit, it's Motor City. So at that time, everybody is supposed to be in automotive. So my parents weren't automotive, so my father was like, I'm not paying for a therapy degree. But I made a pivot around my junior year of college. I decided I wanted to be a therapist, but it was a journey. So obviously, you kind of work in community mental health, then you work in foster care if you want to, or some people do CPS, then you wind up going to work for other companies. But I made a decision early on that I wanted to have my own practice. I worked in Dearborn, and being in that community like Dearborn and Detroit, going into homes, most of the therapists did not look like us. So just to have to come in and figure out I was the fifth or sixth therapist that family had seen, and they're running through their story and their trauma all over again, not understanding the family unit and the things that were important to a family. I made a decision that I wanted to be able to have my own private practice and give some quality care, along with making a space for them to come with whatever their insurance was, which is different than what is out here.
Right, yeah.
But it was difficult. It was difficult finding a mentor, an African-American mentor, but black or brown. It was just difficult. I did get blessed with a good mentor, but it was not a person of color.
Right.
And that's a large reason why I started my practice. It started off as just me, then it was a small group, and now we are a large group practice. It's 25 people.
Wow. So you've now created all of these jobs too, which is so dope too.
And I have to get grounded in that because I don't always think about that.
Yeah. You mentioned when you were in school, and you had when you decided that you wanted to go into, you wanted to become a therapist. In our community, it's really not until like recent that we are like kind of opening our arms to like therapy and stuff like that. At least when, we're in the same age group. We're certainly in the same age group. So it's like when we were, growing up, it's not like therapy was talked about around my circle. So, to have that foresight, what triggered that?
When I was younger, I had a therapist. So my mom was always very open in conversation. My father is probably the complete opposite, but my mother was always very open in conversation. And I had a therapist because I did struggle like any teenager or, young person does. And granted, all of the conversations that we have right now in this day and age, we didn't have all of those back then. Children were more seen and not heard. But I loved my therapist, and she was the bomb. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to help kids. I want to, talk about being dark skin or being, thick with some big legs.
Right.
No, because back then when people made statements, it didn't sit good. Like, oh, you pretty for a dark-skinned girl.
Right.
Or, like, what does that mean? Can I be pretty for a light
Or you got good hair or something like that. Right, exactly, right.
So I appreciated my therapist as a kid. And I think that right there really molded something that I wanted to be and do. And then my personality has just always been a person to help and give and have conversation, help people fix their issues, and just look at things differently, and it just came natural.
Well, that's really dope that your parents had the foresight. It sounds like your dad gave your mom the freedom to just say, okay, if I think that my child should go this way, and so she was the one that really pushed you, down, the therapy path, which is, that is the goal, because there's so many unnecessary traumas that we just kind of carry on in life. We just store up, and we're just like, okay, we let people pile on us, and they pile on us until we are carrying their weights, and we're not realizing it. Now it becomes our traumas, when all we really had to do was kind of just talk that thing out. I guess that's what I imagine therapy being like, is where you are in an environment where you are able to freely express it. But for people who don't know, for people who are just new to the idea of actually going to a therapist, is it scary? Like, what type of, what's the vibe? Am I laying on a couch or something? And
I think it's
which
mixed.
I don't think I would mind that, though.
So I do have a nice, comfy blue velvet couch, but I think it's mixed. I think that some of it is about, I look at therapy as let's chat. It's a let's chat conversation. I can't speak for everybody, but I think that as a person, you have to find something that works for you. It's just like if you go to a doctor. If you don't like your doctor, look for another one. You don't stop going. If you go to a dentist and they don't have good bedside manner, you don't quit going to get your teeth clean. So, therapy is mental health, and it ebbs and flows. And sometimes you're in there because you are transitioning, in life, or there are issues happening at home or in your marriage or in court or whatever.
Right.
But it's about being able to have a space that is just your space. And that is a large part of how I look at therapy and how I've always looked at therapy. I do those cultural components, they're still there. Minorities still struggle to come in. You still are like, if my mama only knew I was here.
Right.
Because you still.
Like it's taboo.
It is. And something I heard my mother-in-law say, because she's a therapist too. So something I heard her say before is like, God is the ultimate counselor, but you still have to be able to have conversation.
Right.
Because if you don't have conversation, how are you able to work through things? So, you can have faith and we can pray on it, but you got to do your work, because faith without work is dead.
Right.
So it all goes together. I think the biggest piece is just making sure, for me, that I always make sure that my clients are comfortable, they feel comfortable, and this is your space and your place and your time to do whatever it is that you need to do.
Yeah.
Something that you said before about like our generation, I think that the hardest thing sometimes for our parents was that entrepreneurial piece. Right? So like, yes, you have this great black job, okay? But then what happens with our generation when we have this great black job, but we don't want to work for anybody else anymore?
Exactly.
And so we want to take what we do for somebody else and we want to go work for ourselves.
Right.
That was a hurdle.
Which we're stuck trying to, again, unpack all of the things that people have placed on us. We want to make sure that we get a pension, and we want to make sure that we can make sure our Social Security, we keep paying into it, which, who knows if it's going to be around anyway. So, I mean, but we've now continued to pile all of these, carry all of this stuff. And then when we try to really examine our heart space, we realize that was never even my dream to begin with. And that is a whole, that's the loop that a lot of people get caught in and never get out of, because they just don't know how to break free of all of the things that we're told or expected. Do you see any of that, or am I just speaking from my own space?
No, I did. When I first started, it was I already had my practice, but when I decided like I'm done working for people, it was during COVID. And then I went and got my first building in my own space.
Okay, come through building.
And so my parents were like, okay, that's nice. Stay there for a while. Don't jump. Don't move. Well, then I grew. And the therapist grew. So the space had to grow. And then, my mom, I could start to see her angst. And she's like, well, are you going too fast? And are you doing this too fast? And do you want to slow down? No, because I think that's where faith comes in. And even though I don't always know where he moving me and what we doing, I'm trying to follow the plan and evolve as he said fit. So I think that was probably where I saw that. And then I took a course about a year ago, and it's a nuts and bolts course for therapists. And it wasn't that many people of color in the course. It was me and another therapist from California. But something that we both talked about was the money mindset and how that in itself affects us as women of color, because what we are taught about money, jobs, you always got to be quicker, think faster, study harder, save better, like all of those concepts. Which goes back to, okay, if I'm on my own, if I work for myself, where am I putting in? Because I don't have no PTO days. I don't have no FMLA.
No.
Like if I can't make it somewhere, or I want to take a vacation, who all is affected?
Exactly. And I'm calculating constantly those steps that I'm taking. And I'm thinking, okay, even when you're away on vacation and off, you're still connected. You still in the office.
Yeah.
It's that is just a break that I am trying to learn for sure, that whole balance and trying to really, navigate that space.
I think it's ongoing. Don't feel bad.
It's
I feel like it is an ongoing thing.
So in this day and age where we have drugs so prevalent, we have, not only just drugs, but we have even candies disguised as drugs. We have people putting drugs, things that, cause immediate overdose and things like that into just substances and things that are just so readily available. Recently, we heard in the media that Rich Homie Quan, he passed away due to ingesting something that contained, I believe it's reported that it was some pills or something like that with fentanyl. How or are, with you operating with children and the youth, how do you suggest we have those conversations with our kids, our young kids? When should that type of conversation start? And in what way, should we be approaching making sure that their mental health is still there, that they have the mental awareness that things are going on around them that are not just popsicles and candy bars anymore. Life has changed. So as a mom that's really bringing up young teens, navigating in this world is tough.
Yeah, I would say, always educate your kids. The world is different. When we tried to do things or sneak things or whatever you were doing as a teenager, I don't know what kind of teenager everybody else was, but I wasn't the greatest. The world was very different. Things were not as accessible. There was no internet. Right. I talk to my kids all the time about dial-up. They don't even know.
Remember the AOL disc? I used to go to doggone Kmart. Sorry, because it's really important. I used to go to Kmart, get the doggone disc. I want to say you had like 10 minutes, a free 10 minutes. I would grab them doggone disc, put it in there. I would be on that thing, on that computer. Woo, that was the glory days.
Right. So things like, it's okay. Things like that, it doesn't exist. Our kids can pick up their cell phone. They go on YouTube. Our 4 and 5-year-olds are watching YouTube Kids, right? So talking to our kids is always a necessity. But what I would add is it's up to our kids to also pick up what we are giving them and telling them. When you think about drugs in general, it's easy to get vapes. It's easy to get marijuana. It's easy to get all of these things because all they got to do is go on the internet, boop, 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 click in something, and then bam.
And it's delivered, probably.
And it's delivered. It is, you know. It's right there. Not trying to knock anybody's professional gain, but at the end of the day, it is so prevalent. So the same way we talk to our kids about drugs or sex, we also have to talk to our kids about mental health and how they feel. A lot more kids are talking, and teenagers are talking about having anxiety, social anxiety, interacting with other people. I gotta look like this kid. This kid got purple jeans, and I don't have purple jeans. All of these things, you know, those elements are important to talk about. And I think as moms, we have to be able to be in spaces to support one another because life's
for everybody, don't matter the age or anything.
And our kids grow up and they become young adults and they do what they do. And sometimes we are cheering on the sidelines, and other times we praying on our knees. So I think having a space, whether it's therapy, whether it's girlfriends, whether it's both, and you know, if you are a spiritual person, then praying, because I know as a mom, if I didn't have prayer, I might not be sitting here.
Oh, I hear you. Before I switch off of this, because I want to lighten it up just a little bit, but I think it's important because I have often times wondered what anxiety feels like. It's hard to really describe a feeling, but you know, being in this, in your profession, perhaps you've heard what the symptoms of anxiety or what they look like. To be able to identify if someone really is struggling with that. What are those symptoms, and what could you do, you know, even holistically, not even talking from a medication standpoint, but holistically, what could we do in order to kind of check, you know, put some checks and balances, you know, onto some of that anxiousness that we might be feeling?
So for everybody, it is different. A lot of people will describe a feeling, and we all maybe have felt it at some point, right? A feeling of sweaty palms, or kind of like a knot right here in our chest, stomach fluttering. Some people have headaches. Some people feel lightheaded. Overthinking, worrying. Those are spaces of anxiety and anxiousness. It just depends on the person, how strong it can be. For some people, it's a moment. It's a situation. For other people, it is their everyday life. So when you think about holistic things, you can take timeouts. You can take pauses. I even have some people do essential oils, purchasing like, you know, the bath bombs that you can put in the shower, that when you take a shower at night, kind of like that aromatherapy comes up, depending on the person. Some people do it in the morning. Like, these are all different things to help people break up, especially for those people who have stressful black jobs, you know, especially for those individuals. Sometimes they need that. And then just being able to have 10, 15 minutes of quiet time. Like, those are some spaces of just holistic things that can be done. Sometimes we look at what we're taking in and then what we're letting go of. Coming to therapy works for some people too. It just depends on their space of life. But it's all a mixture. I would say right now in our world, with everything that we just have going on, people are anxious in general. And then, you know, when anxiety shifts, because when it gets worse, when you're going from like anxiety to panic, because that's when some individuals have panic attacks and they have them a little more frequently. And that's when sometimes the holistic piece, you need a little bit more than that, because the physiological and psychological have to work together.
That's a good, thank you for that. That's great insight. If anybody is suffering from any type of anxiety or feelings of, you know, panic or anything where you just feel like you need to speak with someone, make sure that you reach out to a professional for further assistance with that. Thank you so much for talking about your journey. So I just want to move on to our next segment called Siedah, Can You Help Me? I'm just going to read the instructions. My producer gave these to me, and he creates all the stuff because he wants me to be surprised too. So I guess it's an element of fun. So, okay, so it's time for some fun. What we're going to do is play Siedah, Can You Help Me? This is when we're going to play a pre-recorded call-in sound from people who are dealing with some interesting life situations. Of course, we need to turn to Siedah, the expert, for some advice on some of our love, trouble, and maybe a little bit of family drama. So, Siedah, can you help me? We just got our first caller. Hello, hey caller.
You see, I have everything that a man would want. Money, cars, clothes, diamonds, a few Rolexes, a few nice cars. I travel around the world. I'm a very successful entrepreneur. But lately, I've been feeling hopeless. Not getting enough sleep, not eating well, not really taking care of myself. You see, I feel like I don't ever get the chance to be myself. Because the truth is, sometimes I just want to be like this. Like, I want to live in my truth. Because the truth is, I'm a gay man, and I don't know how to come out the closet. Siedah, boo, can you help me?
Well, yes, caller. I definitely would say I can help you. I think the first thing is looking at what are the fears and speaking your truth. The other areas that we could look at if you were open to coming to therapy would definitely be looking at some confidence. You know, I heard you tell me everything that you have, but I didn't necessarily hear you tell me anything about who you are. And we can have everything, but who we are is the piece that really would matter, that we need to look down a little deeper into, which might make you feel a little bit more comfortable about the individuals in which you're opening yourself up to date. Because boundaries and expectations are extremely important, especially in relationship. And we always have expectations, but they're silent and we don't talk about them. And silent expectations, they don't get fed, so we don't get what we need. So, of course, caller, call me offline and we can get you what you need.
All right. Okay. Well, I think Siedah helped. All right. Okay. Caller 2, are you there, boo?
Oh, I need some real advice. So, my man, well, my husband, we just got married. We plan to wait until after we got married, and then we get to the wedding night, and the package, it's just not packing. Siedah, can you help me?
Well, I would definitely say it's different ways and different things to think about when you think about intimacy and sex. So I could understand if your expectations were at a certain place, because that always matters. But something to think about is intimacy, and where is the intimacy, and what are some other things that could be done in the bedroom that you like or enjoy, or that he likes and enjoys, to kind of enhance the sexual experience. Because that it just doesn't always have to be about the package being the size that you wanted it to be. Because what are some other things that he does very well in the bedroom? You know, think about that. Try to pivot to that and look at where maybe intimacy or foreplay could be stronger, and then moving into some different areas to kind of enhance the sexual experience.
Listen, spoken like a true professional, because she said, let's focus on the pot. Let's ignore the negative, the one elephant in the room, or not, maybe not elephant, but let's ignore that. What we gonna do is we just gonna be positive. Like, that's it. Like, let's just talk about the good stuff. Oh man, I mean, geez, therapy. Like, I'm over here. I'm like, dang, is this like, you could talk all soothing? You like redirect. I'm like,
That's a part of the job.
I was like, how's she gonna get out of this one? Oh, she was like, swiftly. Dunzo. Okay. Caller number 3, you there?
Hi. I'm very frustrated because my mom is always on my back. She's always like asking me stuff and like she just won't leave me alone. Like I just want to be in my room. I just hate school and everybody's mean to me and I just don't want to be bothered sometimes. But she keeps being in my face and I don't know what to do. I'm just really, really, really pissed off. I'm really angry. Siedah, can you help me?
So something that may be helpful, right, when you think about sounds like you're a teenager or a preteen caller, is one, maybe mom is in your face or asking questions because she wants to know what's going on. And I know that might be kind of frustrating and annoying. Something maybe to ask mom is, can I talk to you when I'm ready? Or can you give me a minute? Can you give me a second? I don't mean to be rude. Don't mean to be disrespectful, because I know parents, we say that's disrespectful all the time without a definition. So maybe asking mom if she could give you a minute or give you a second. And then I definitely would say ask mom if she's open, and if you're open to maybe giving you a therapist, somebody that you feel comfortable with. Look on, a website or Psychology Today, or Therapy for Black Girls, and see what you like, or somebody that speaks to you. Because sometimes what teens may be going through or you're going through, you may not necessarily feel like your mom can understand. And that's okay. But if that's the sentence, then tell mom that sentence, and see where and what she is open to doing to provide some additional help, so that you can talk about things like school, because school can be frustrating too, and friends and peer pressure and wanting to fit in. It's a whole different ball game. So that would be some of my advice, caller.
I like when you said, Mom, can I talk to you when I'm ready? Mm-hmm. Because oftentimes as a child, speaking from that space, I can remember back to, wanting to I just needed a minute, and then we're people at the end of the day, but, I know it's always not how we say it. It's not what we say, it's how we say it. Mm-hmm. And, just having that little bit of coaching and that fine tuning, with the caller, can really change the course of the way that her and her parents or her mother, how they communicate from, this point going forward. So that was profound. That was deep. That was dope. All right, come through, Black Job. Okay. So it's my favorite part of the show, because we do this thing called Top of the Charts. Now, with Top of the Charts, we are going to make a whole little thing together. So we're going to make a whole song. That, everybody in the comments, they can let us know if we made it to the top of the charts or not. So the rules, there are not many rules, but you take the first verse, I'll take the second, and we have to use one of 3 words. And those 3 words are love, sex, and anxiety.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, you got it?
I got it.
Okay.
Just hit it.
Well, we're going to get the music cued in.
Okay. You make me think of a time when I really was in love.
Woo! In love. You make me wanna have something.
Okay.
Yeah. You got me, boo?
You make me think about a time when we were having great love making sex in the back of that
ooh, in the back of the ooh.
They
in
done
the
took
back
us to the top of the
ooh,
charts, okay?
in the back of the, yeah, let's go. I know when I see you tonight. I know, I'ma get that thing right. We go.
Okay, I wasn't ready. Okay, I was not ready.
Okay, good.
I was not ready.
So let me know, y'all, did that song make it to the top of the charts? Like, did we just do our big one? Like, I think we did. I want to get into our very last portion of the show. And I want to say thank you so much for coming on, and you just been dropping gems, you know, just like, you know, everybody said all day. You've been dropping gems since you've been here. We are in a heavy climate right now. We got the election coming up. We have the uncertainty on like housing markets, recession, depression. We just have a lot of outside pressures coming in. Inflation, money's a huge issue and huge topic. And we know anytime we're talking about those terms, we are dealing with a lot of people that have historically dealt with depression during times like this. And depression is not something I was thinking about yesterday. Depression isn't one thing that shows up in any specific type of way. Depression shows up, it seems like, you know, a lot of ways. Talk to me a little bit about depression, where we are in this climate, and some of the things that we can do, and how to even recognize it if we don't even realize that we could be high functioning, you know, in a state of depression.
So I think that's a great topic. When you think about depression, it can ebb and flow, right? So some people, they have dealt with depression their whole lives, and so they're aware. You know, I love my clients who are aware of the fact that they know that, you know, a season's changing, or something hard is happening at work, or life is lifing, as we say. And, you know, I'm recognizing I'm not going out the house, and I don't want to engage with friends, and I'm not picking up the phone. I'm spending more time on my couch with my wine glass, you know, or I'm eating a little bit more than what I used to eat, you know, because I'm just kind of trying to push the pain away, right? Those obviously are some serious signs of maybe dealing with some possible depression. But then you also have other spaces where sometimes sadness or feelings of sadness can develop into greater depression. And we're pushing through our day. When you think about someone who may be quote unquote high functioning, right? We're pushing through our day and we're doing the things that we need to do, but maybe we have gotten rid of some of our care for self. I don't often say self-care because it's a play on words, or, you know, it's hot in the community.
Right.
And that's fine, you know, but I think the bigger piece is having care of self. And when you're recognizing that your normal day-to-day activity is not what you typically do, or you're in a space where this is overwhelming, or if you like me and you watch MSNBC all day, every day, if it's too much, turn it off.
Right.
This week it was too much for me. I had to turn it off, right? Being aware of those kinds of things, it is relevant. But I always offer people, it's always going to be something negative. Identify what's positive. We always going to have a worst case scenario. But what is your best case scenario too?
Yeah.
To figure out what that is, but also just be in tune with who you are as a human being, as an individual. I think the same way that women have things that they go through, men have things that they go through, right? What are their worries? What are their concerns? We have a ton of people losing their jobs or being swept up in, you know, the severance packages and all of those things. How does that affect our men? Our providers, right? How does that, not to say that we as women aren't providers, but men identify as providers, right? We identify as numerous other things plus a provider. A lot of how our men are raised, especially our black and brown men, they are raised to be providers and protectors. That preservation part come a little later, but provide and protect. Like those things can create depression as well.
Yeah, right. You mentioned self-care, and that being a hot topic, and everybody is talking about self-care, and I'm like, I need to incorporate more self-care, and I find that I'm just saying it, and I'm like, I need to do that, I need to do that, I need to do that, and then that self-care, that's on the back burner because I don't have time for self-care, but I'll get to the self-care because I need to do it. But what you just said, you don't necessarily subscribe to the trendy term. You subscribe to care of self.
Mm-hmm.
And that just hit me completely differently because when we're looking at self-care, we're looking at the action which is the care. That's that's what we're doing. We're putting that action secondary, and we need to be putting that in front of the self. And so we put that in front of something. I put that in front of the way that I love on my children and take care of them. I put that in the way that I care and love for my husband and my family and my team at work. And I put that care before the self so that then I lead with that. And so that's why that's always primary. That's why that's always the primary focus in my life. And myself is secondary. If that made any sense, it made all the sense in the world to me, though. And I just,
That's good.
Maybe I should be a therapist because I was over here. I was just like, ooh, I was on the couch and I was just like talking the whole thing through, girl. Hey, healed, period. No, but thank you so much.
You're
In
welcome.
closing,
Thank
do you have
you.
any, just anything, any call to action, any Instagrams, anything that you want to shout out that you can direct everybody to just to learn more about you, to find out more about your practice, to come and lay on your blue velvet couch that
I love so much. So definitely, if you feel like you need a therapist, if you feel like you need support, if you feel like you need anything, my website is www.focustherapyclinic.com. It's the same for the Instagram and it's the same for the Facebook because I am not a social media guru. So I like to keep it simple for people. But definitely, it's all kind of sites and websites, and Therapy for Black Girls is a great resource. Going to Psychology Today can be overwhelming, but type in what you need and what you're looking for, or just pick up the phone and call us. And if we're not a fit, we'll get you somebody that is a fit. But taking care of yourself and finding some services to help with mental health or any kind of medication management, that's a part of us evolving as individuals, as people, for our kids, us as women, men, couples, marriages, whatever that looks like. There is always a way to work through something. So don't ever feel like it's a space of being alone. And I appreciate you for allowing me to come in this space and talk about my great black job.
Yes.
that I just love so much.
It's a dope black job too. Before we leave, I have a special gift for you. So I want to make sure that I give you your My Black Child, the podcast hat.
Oh, thank
you. So
you.
this is for you. Thank you so
darling.
much for coming. Thank you all for coming every single time that we drop. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. And please share, y'all. Get in the comments, y'all. Let's boost this video. Love you.